As far as creative imagination is concerned, yes, he can do that, and he can also make mock-ups of all kinds of mock-ups. He can do many astonishing things. One of the most astonishing things that a Thetan exterior, awareness unit exteriorized, can do, one of the most astonishing things that this person can do, is heal at a distance. And he has no trouble doing that. That's one of the easier things. Of course, it really doesn't restore much self-determinism in the person he's healing. But that's beside the point. The person is at least well, if somewhat enslaved. But he can heal at a distance. We won't say, by the way, that former efforts at faith healing done here and there throughout the world were simply efforts to enslave people, and we're not inferring that from there on all the people who contacted that particular segment of knowledge became enslaved. You notice that healing at a distance and with a magic wand and without any idea of pan-determinism, self-determinism is destructive. Well, he can do all of these things. Furthermore, he can be any place in the universe with total perception, know where he is, and occupy or motivate any kind of a body. In other words, people talked about my exaggerations when they talked about the Dianetic clear. And I really had a very good time as the years went on listening to this sort of thing, because it was very hard to keep from breaking out in hysterical laughter in their faces. If I had put down what a clear really can do, it would have been an amazing thing. Nobody would have swallowed it anywhere. Nobody. Because he can be any place he wants to be simply by thinking he's there and looking from the point where he has arrived. He can be behind anybody's head, and by handling their motor control units, make them move, walk, turn, do what he wants to. It's a curious thing, isn't it? So here we have a greatly enhanced idea of a clear in Scientology. All right, so much for the lecture and the propaganda on this. I want to give you something about this process. Is there any way you have to say this? Do you have to say it be 3 feet back of your head? Or do you have to say it be 3 feet back of your head? Or something of the sort? No, it is said in total knowledge of two-way communication. You've got to know your two-way communication, you see. You've got to be in communication with the person. And you have to remember to do it in a place that is quiet and where the person is not going to immediately be hit by your voice, falling chairs, starting trucks, or something of the sort, because he gets out of his head and boom! He's all of a sudden startled. The most sudden thing that can be done to a man has happened to him. That is the most startling thing that can be done to a man. Be 3 feet back of your head and there he is. He's very startled, and a wave of sound, or an impulse of sound, or upset, or a lot of chatter from the auditor right at that point will interiorize him again. He will duck in order to protect himself, as though he had to protect himself against anything. So this is really the secret, you might say, of secrets, and this is the one-shot clear, be 3 feet back of your head, and the secret in using it is simply this. Let's make very sure that the environment is quiet and that the auditor doesn't go on magpieing at the pre-clear endlessly, and then that the auditor, having done so, does not undertake any stunts. Let's get that very clearly. He doesn't do any stunts now. Of course, if the auditor is trained in a speculative piece of nonsense, mid-distance psychiatry, something of this sort. I'm not tough on these boys. I'm not near tough enough. They actually don't believe in the pure and golden thread of Scientology even vaguely, except as termites are sometimes found in the vicinity of some beautiful building. I'm not painting up Scientology as being a beautiful structure simply because it is. But there's about the same thing. It's not speculative. We're not putting somebody 3 feet back of his head as an auditor to find out what he will do, or to find out if he's going to jump through hoops, or if he glows or suddenly possesses a halo. We're not going to turn ultraviolet lights on him to see if we can show him up and actually prove he's there. And we're not interested in whether or not he's there, even vaguely. If he says he's there, and that is the total test. Now let me level with you very strongly. Black 5, sometimes processing people conclude that they're simply psychotic because they say they're out of their heads, because the Black 5 knows he can't get out of his head. See, so anybody that exteriorizes, he says they're crazy, so he'll do something and spin them, if he can, and get them back inside. One of the ways to do this is tell them to look at their body. Just tell a guy to look at his body. See? Be 3 feet back ahead, now look at your body. Boy, is that bad auditing. He'll say, that black thing. See, he hasn't any real notion of what his body does look like. He might be in the middle of an ogre. Most people think they are. And he'll look at his body and boom, he'll go in, he'll become uncertain, so forth. We could go and hide things around the room the way some people do, you know, and ask him to go and find them. That's cute. Typical of a psychologist. But the guy will miss a couple of times because his visio isn't straight yet, you see, or something. It invalidates him, and he'll go back into his head. He'll reinteriorize. And then he'll be hard to fish out. So this process has some very definite, rigid laws that go along with it. Don't do it as a joke, an experiment. Do it in a quiet place. Do it as processing. And do it just that way. Be 3 feet back ahead. Now, there are many other processes which have been tried in this. Many other. Actually, we found there was a command, which was the most startling news that I had received from outside sources up to that time. There was a command which made a person do this thing. And that was try not to be 3 feet back ahead. It's not good processing, but it did demonstrate there was a magic command. Working on it further, I managed to get together the command, be 3 feet back ahead, just that way, boom, and found out that I was hitting about 50% of the human race. This is the one-shot clear. Just a few little words. And it is done by an auditor in full knowledge of auditing, and it is not done as an experiment, it's done as processing. What can you do thereafter? The sky's the limit. One of the first things you should read to find out what you could do thereafter would be Chapter 2, Dianetics, Modern Science, and Mental Health. Okay.